Recently, we got news that Donald Trump had chosen a man for his DEA pick who had arrested a pastor during COVID for trying to host religious services. This resulted in a major backlash. Ultimately, the man resigned the nomination. And we have more information about exactly what happened. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, we have won. I take very, very serious issue with this guy, Chad Chronister, how he arrested a pastor and what that means for someone who's going to be put anywhere in government. I believe this man should go to prison. I have very little sympathy. I am done. But Donald Trump is now stating, or I should say the news is reporting, and there are, I believe, some statements from Trump, that the issue is specifically about Trump heard this guy had arrested a pastor and was like, that's not negotiable. No, I'm sorry. Time to go. And then went to him and basically said, it's time to leave. If it were not for the pressure campaign from individuals on social media highlighting this is a bad pick, this guy would have been in the DEA. So I want to say this of Donald Trump as well, because Jen Kuger recently tweeted, and he mentioned on the show, that he ex-posted, that he thought Trump supporters are not going to let Trump get away with whatever he wants. And he is correct. So when Trump tried making a bad guy the head of the DEA, we said no. We said no. But let me tell you about what it means to be a good person and what it means to be a bad person like this guy, Chad, and why he ends up losing his nomination. And he should be in prison. This is a man who during lockdowns said, I'm just doing my job. We have a First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and practice our religion and speech and press and all of those things. I will not tolerate individuals who say your constitutional rights have been overridden by a separate emergency declaration. That is evil. And that this man was stopped is a good thing. So let's read this story, my friends. But before we do, head over to preservegold.com/TimPool. Owning good old gold, physical gold and silver. It's a great way to help defend yourself against our roller coaster economy. Preserve Gold. We love them. My friends, you've heard me say it before. When it comes to physical precious metals, we love Preserve Gold. Our friends at Preserve Gold have an exclusive offer for my viewers right now, where you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase, as well as a free guide. Go check them out on X. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions with happy clients. Again, head over to their X. It's x.com/preserve gold, and on Instagram as well. Or text Tim to 50505 to learn more. Shout out Preserve Gold for sponsoring the show. We do appreciate it. Here's a story from the New York Post. President-elect Donald Trump used a forceful hand to get his DEA pick to drop out on Tuesday after hearing concerns about his record, sources familiar told the Post, leading to outgoing Rep. Anthony Esposito to make a bid for the position. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister issued a lengthy statement indicating he was withdrawing his name for the DEA slot, but did not reveal the specific reason he was dropping out. The confirmation process just 3 days later. Everybody knows Mr. Trump calls all the shots. A well-placed source spilled. The president heard the concerns about Sheriff Chronister and acted accordingly. It was the president's forceful hand that led him to remove his name. Well, right now with Pete Hegseth, apparently Donald Trump is saying, do not back out. And that's based. We'll see what happens. Rep. Thomas Massey and Chip Roy had lambasted Chronister, having arrested Pastor Rodney Howard Brown at the height of the COVID pandemic for breaking lockdown mandates by holding worship services at his church. The second source disclosed that Trump was very displeased with the revelations about his arrest of the pastor and some of his other actions that he took as sheriff. Quote, arresting pastors for trying to keep their churches open is a non-negotiable with the president. And that's what the sheriff was accused of. And the president did not like that. Not only that, but the dude held a press conference and bragged about it. Chronister had also spoken about his arrest of the pastor at the time, tweeting that Howard Brown intentionally and repeatedly disregarded state and local public health orders, which put his congregation and our community in danger. Well, as it goes, the man, in fact, and this is part of the reporting, I don't know, he installed a very expensive air system for the purpose of abiding by those restrictions. And he shouldn't have had to. The First Amendment is clear. The government can't just do this. So this guy Chronister is like, look at me. I'm so proud. I'm violating the Constitution. I give no sympathies to any of these cops who do this. I don't care if it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever amendment. OK, scumbaggery. to trample over someone's rights. And for what reason? To hold a press conference and brag, sir, you should be in jail. No, I'm not saying the guy should go to prison for 30 years. I'm saying conspiracy against rights. I think maybe you get 6 months. And maybe then we send a message to people who would wear a badge and take a dump on our Constitution that we don't tolerate it. But you know what? Fine. I'll settle with the disgrace of this man having lost his nomination. You flew so close to the sun, dude. But I give you no sympathy. How about you issue a public statement and say, I was wrong. Please, please forgive me. And I beg of all law enforcement officers, never, never violate the rights guaranteed to be protected in this great Constitution. Those remarks about the arrest also did not please Trump. Howard Brown was charged with violation of public health emergency rules and unlawful assembly, but the offenses were later dropped. He languished in jail a day before paying a $500 bond. D'Esposito, who lost his re-election bid in November for New York's 4th Congressional District on Long Island to Democrat Laura Gillen, is quickly trying to make inroads to fill the spot. Quote, President Trump has a mandate from the people of this country to make America safe again. And I would be honored to lend my experience as a decorated NYPD detective and member of the House Homeland Security Committee to assist President Trump in that mission, he said. Trump's team declined to comment on D'Esposito's bid. The departing Republican poll has already earned the backing of Nassau County Detectives Association. And they go on to say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Chronister's withdrawal was a bit of a shock, despite being the second resignation from Trump's administration team after former Rep. Matt Gaetz bowed out as the next AG after he couldn't secure enough Senate GOP votes for confirmation. Over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration, Chronister had written in a statement. There's more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County, and a lot of initiatives I am committed to fulfilling. I sincerely appreciate the nomination, outpouring of support by the American people, and look forward to continuing my service as sheriff of Hillsborough County. Chronister did not immediately respond to an inquiry from the Post. So we do have this story here. I think I have this tweet. This is interesting. Kyle Becker. Just in, Donald Trump reveals the reason why he pulled the nomination of Chad Chronister for DEA chief. Let me read the full statement instead of just the single quote. Trump says, the Wall Street Journal is becoming more and more obnoxious and unreadable. Today's main headline is Trump DEA's pick pulls out in latest setback. With all that's happening in the world, this is their number one story of the day. Besides, he didn't pull out. I pulled him out because I did not like what he said to my pastors and other supporters. Based. More importantly, what's my latest setback? I just won the presidency of the United States. They haven't written a good story about me in years. Somebody over there ought to look at what they're doing. The only one worse than them is stupid China-centric Forbes magazine. Woo! I'm optimistic, guys. I am. You know, we were talking with Cenk Uygur the other day. He was saying that, like I mentioned, you know, he thinks Trump's based. They're not going to let Trump get away with all this stuff. And that's why he said he's optimistic. He says he thinks Trump's a bad guy. He thinks Trump's a con man and insurrectionist and all these things. But he sees the destruction of the establishment machine as better because Trump supporters are not going to let him get away with anything. I'll tell you what I see here. This guy, scumbag, and I you know, could not have. I'm happy it's happening. You know, I'll be honest. Not super familiar with the guy, but when I hear that he held a press conference and gloated over arresting a person exercising their First Amendment rights, and oh boy, multiple facets of the First Amendment. It protects, I think, what, 5? You've got a right to the press, to speech, to religion, a redress of grievances, and peaceable assembly. And he violated so many of those and held a press conference about it. Sorry, you're disqualified. And I'm glad this news cycle has come to smack you in the political face. He says to have been nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to serve as the administrator of the DEA is an honor of a lifetime. Over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I have concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from the consideration. There is more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives I am committed to fulfilling. I sincerely appreciate the nomination, outpouring of support by the American people, and look forward to continuing my service as sheriff of Hillsborough County. Well, remind me never to go to your county, dude. But my point I'm trying to get to, Trump's getting a lot of people from Florida telling him what to do. And there's good and there's bad along with it. I think it's likely that Trump told Matt Gaetz, hey, it's not going to happen. And that's unfortunate. Wish that didn't happen. But I think ultimately what we're seeing here is that the will of the people matters to Donald Trump. Hey, look, as Jen said the other day, the brother just wants to be popular. And of course, when everyone on Twitter loses their mind and says, no, Trump's like, okay, sorry, buddy. That's your fault. Let me tell you the truth. I don't know that Trump actually is super concerned about the arrest of the pastor, probably a little bit. But the reality is, as we know, talking with congressional staffers and those that have done comms and worked with Trump, is that Trump thinks positive PR is an essential for any of his choices. And so these nominations are auditions. When someone goes to Trump and they say, we want you for a position, you have to have PR experience. You need to make sure that you can explain to the American people who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. If before you even get started, everyone's attacking you and smearing you, you're not going to serve effectively. Goodbye. Shout out to Donald Trump. I respect it. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. We got more segments coming up, so stick around and we will see you all shortly.